Hi everyone. Finally, I've got my camera working. So yeah, this is quite a lesson for me. For some reason, the one camera was not switched off and literally ran out of battery. I'm busy charging it now, so I had to get my old camera going. So I don't know how this is going to work. We will see how this works out. But tell me if you can hear the sound fine and if you can see me fine. Hi, Marty. If you could just tell me if the sound is okay. Okay, it's fine. Okay, great. So I'm using my old camera right now, and there's literally something different about tonight, and you might not notice this immediately. You might notice this later. Okay, great stuff. This is going to be quite exciting. It's interesting things we're going to be covering tonight. So let's see how many people we can get into this live stream. So this is a live stream with a difference. It's the first time I've done this. So just to the members, you are the only people that can comment. Okay, tonight only the members can comment, but this live stream is open to the public. This is the first time that I've done this, and there's a reason for that. So I want to find out a few things with regards to YouTube, how it works, and I will make announcements in future depending on how things go tonight. So you will see that the total numbers that we end up having will be way beyond what we normally have. But this is still a members live stream, so you can call it that the public is allowed to come in, except it's still our stream. Only the members can comment, and yeah. So I really look forward to this and seeing what this does tonight. You're gonna find very interesting things. Our last live stream, we covered the committee of 300. And the reason why my family is the thumbnail, I'll just repeat. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the annoying thing is that the world is filled with copycats. People will sit, they will spend a lot of time because they are morally bankrupt, and they will take other people's ideas, thoughts, intellectual property, whatever you may call it, and try and turn it into something because I have nothing. And this is what happens. And to circumnavigate that, you have to be a couple of steps ahead of these people. And when you do that, you can literally do certain things once you understand their personality types, once you understand their egos and many other things, to circumnavigate what they do. Thanks a lot, Edgar. J. Edgar, thanks so much. So tonight, the public will have access to everything that I do, and you just won't be able to comment. So hopefully, we will get more members. We had about a growth of 50 members recently. So there's a lot of new members here. Welcome to all of you. And as we discuss the committee of 300 tonight, I will be discussing things that I dropped for the members in the community tab. I dropped 2 names in the community tab. And who of you saw the names that I dropped in the community tab? 2 names. Who of you saw those names in the community tab? Any of you? Marlene says yes. Okay, Nico says yes. Bridget, Adolf. Okay, great stuff. So we have 180 people watching at the moment. So there's quite a few people that are watching. Like I said before, that are not members. It's the first time we do this. Only the members can comment still. So it's still just the members community in the chat. No one else can be a part of the chat. It's like people are fly on a wall watching what we are doing. And I do that for a specific reason. Okay. So the first sad thing is that I haven't got this little camera doing the streaming tonight. I'll show it to you now. So this is a little Sony ZV-10. It's a cool 13,000 Rand. It's not cheap, but it's really stunning. What you see now is absolutely horrific, although it got this channel a long way. So it's weird seeing the background the way it is now, but that is okay. It was my mistake. I left the camera on and it ran down, and the USB is not strong enough to carry it from flat. So when you make a mistake, you need to own it. So I'm really sorry about that. Okay, great stuff. You saw the names. So the two names were Wolfgang Ulmer and Arkon. And I will talk to you tonight. I'll, in fact, show you where those names come from. So when I went through the last couple of pages of my dad's book, Armageddon, and here you can see the book again. There's a couple of pages at the end missing. It's up in my room, in fact. And Lauren gave me the suggestion, why don't you read like the last 20 pages of the book so you get an idea what happens at the end. And here, in the last pages of the book, I find Wolfgang Ulmer. I was quite shocked to find him there. And I find Arkon there. And I didn't expect that. I suppose with Arkon, I wasn't that surprised, but I mean, that's quite something. Because Arkon is the person that a lady from KwaZulu-Natal claimed visited her from another star system, that they actually had a child together. And a lot of people probably believe that she was completely nuts. My father communicated with her for hours and hours. He spoke to her lots. And I was a very young child when that took place. My mom told me about it. But he has a place in this book. And it wasn't just a name that was used. He was actually who he said he was to this woman in the book. In other words, in the book, he was someone that could help us with not just with technology, but with what we should do with events in the end times. So fascinating. We are working hard at getting this book done, the transcription. It's not that simple. The writing's very difficult to read. So I battled to actually get some of the words right. If you actually look at it, it's not easy. And he obviously wrote it over a period of time. For those of you that don't know, it's 287 pages. So it's not going to be such a long book once it's done. But it looks like he has quite a few things in store. So the one thing he told me is that this book will tell us exactly how Armageddon plays out. In other words, how he saw it. See, his perspective, not mine, his. And it ties in with the Committee of 300, the world elites, how they play out that end game. So a lot of people are interested in it. I'm actually not. To be honest, a lot of people can't understand how I can't be interested. It's my father, you know, the experiences I had with him, was ours. We spent lots of time together subsequent to me seeing him again when he fetched me on the parade ground in Pretoria. And I had no idea that he knew I was there. I don't know how on earth he got access to the base. The fact that the drill lieutenant actually brought him to me on the parade ground. He was the only parent there. And it didn't make sense, but that's what happened. It was the weirdest thing. And I spent time with him when I thought I was going to go home to Cape Town, and learned so many things that I just took in, didn't necessarily believe. So let's get started. We started last week with the Committee of 300. I had this envelope that came from Canada via email. It was addressed to Edmund Bernardo. He lived in Meyerton at the time. I spoke about the massive boat that he actually built there in Meyerton. The content of the envelope has writing addressed to him. And this was a lady that is probably still alive. There's the writing that was addressed to him. And then pages from a book that someone wrote. And it's Dr. John Coleman, The Conspirators' Hierarchy. And it discusses the Committee of 300 in a section. And if you want to go through those details, we're going to be covering the last 3 pages. Then you can go and watch the last video and catch up with that. So we're going to be covering the last 3 pages. And then we're going to tie into the fact that I found Wolfgang Ulmer as well as Archon in the book. And I'll give you a reference to that. So let me just make sure that I've got the pages right here. Okay, so we ended up with Center for the Study of Democratic Institutions. And I just want to go through the last 9 points that was made here again, just to jog your memory. And welcome to the non-members that have joined us. You won't be able to comment. So just sit there like a fly on the wall and listen, because this is a members live chat, so only the members can be in the chat. Further goals enunciated by Ashmore are as follows. So these are various organizations that are subsidiaries to the Committee of 300. That is actually our one world government. It's already there. It has all the royalty in the world already there. Klaus Schwab is a member. The Pope is a member. All the people that a lot of people think run the world, they are members. If you look at the Bilderberg Group, the chair of the Bilderberg Group is a Committee of 300 member. And we went through many of the names already. In my 2nd or 3rd live stream that I've ever done for members, I went through all the names. So you can go and watch that and actually get all the names of the people in the Committee of 300. And we'll go back to covering 2 or 3 of those names a time again from where we left off. So if you become a channel member, you can go and watch the entire history. It's all there for you. But those 9 items are further the goals enunciated by Ashmore are as follows. 1, membership of the United Nations must be made universal. In other words, a few countries that are not members of the UN, they are going to force them through any means to become UN members. 2, the United Nations must be strengthened. In other words, they need to have more power, the organization itself, because that becomes a proxy world government already. 3, Southeast Asia must be neutralized. For neutralized, read communized. In other words, you control those people to a point where the governments fully control them. And the people in those countries can't become a threat to this new world order being created. 4, the Cold War must be ended. In other words, this has already taken place. All of these things have taken place already. 5, racial discrimination must be abolished. 6, developing nations must be assisted, meaning assisted to destruct. 7, no military solutions to problems. And then in brackets, he said, "You pity they didn't tell George Bush that before the Gulf War." 8, national solutions are not adequate. In other words, anyone that thinks that a nation can come up with a solution, for instance, in South Africa, America, the US, that government can come up with a solution, it should never be adequate. In other words, you should always think that any solution from anywhere for any problem needs to have a worldwide solution. And then 9, coexistence is necessary. Okay, so all of those things needed to come to the fore, because without that, you couldn't create a one world government. Now, many of these things people will think are awesome things, and I'm not debating or discussing that at all. I'm not interested in doing that. All I'm trying to say is that this is what Dr. John Coleman said these organizations aspire to. Now we're going to go into the last 3 pages. So I want to cut to the chase immediately. I just want to get the pages order right. There's a lot to get through. Ooh, there's something strange. No, this is correct, yes. Okay, so I have the order right here. So before I get stuck in, is there anything that any of you want to ask? Anything that is urgent? Any of the members that you feel you want to discuss tonight? Mandy gifted a membership. Thanks for doing that. So you can actually give memberships to other people that are watching. So Johan, you are now you were gifted a membership. If you accept that membership, then you will be a part of the discussion. Aiskas, London. Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us. So we do have we do have many members from across the world, and this community is extremely powerful. What this community has achieved around the world and in this country is incredible, because this is where we get to the crux. It's in these membership live chats. We discuss a lot of important things, and this is the engine of the movement on the ground. So I want to thank everyone that's a member. And I actually spoke to someone earlier today, also a member, and I told him about how the membership came about, and how Uncle Rob said I should charge the amount for a very good cup of coffee a month as a matter of principle. And that's exactly what I did. That's how we came up with the amount for the membership. So it's a stipend. It definitely makes a big difference in getting us to do the work that we need to do. But we need to do a lot more. It's incredible what we actually do need to still do. So the work that my father did around the world to prepare for these last days, to fight these global elites, that work needs to continue, and I will continue that work. He trusted me to continue it, and I will do it my way. I'm not going to do it the way that he might have believed or wanted to do it. He's not with us because he made mistakes. He trusts. Okay, maybe he didn't trust people, but he allowed things to happen that ended up with him being dead, and that doesn't help. So, hi, Paul. Yeah, it was nice having a chat with you earlier. So, anything urgent? Someone earlier sent me a message. I'm not going to tell you who it was, of someone that was found hung from a tree next to a road in somewhere in KwaZulu-Natal, and they wanted to know if it's significant. I don't know. You need to know if what the cause of death was. If the cause of death was not strangulation due to hanging, in other words, it wasn't a suicide, then someone is trying to send a message. So you need to find out what the cause of death was. This weekend's workshop that we'll be doing in 2 days' time, it looks at disseminating information. In other words, if you see something, if you read something or whatever, how you disseminate information, actually know what it means. And a lot of people need to learn this. So Lauren has come up with an awesome presentation with tools in that workshop, the STF workshop, that you can use to understand and disseminate information. And you'll be given practical tools. The exercises are going to be a lot of fun, because we are going to use examples, and obviously the way we get to answers, the way we find truth, is going to be enlightening. It's going to help you to do things in your own life and use those tools any which way you want. Those are tools that Lauren and I use all the time. So it's unique to us, and hopefully you can benefit from it. But that's a good example of someone seeing something, not knowing what to make of it, asking me to give my input. And my input is very simple. You see something happening. You see in Mexico, our gangs hang people from bridges, etc., in front of a highway. That's there to send a message. You see something like this now in South Africa. It's a single person, not multiple people. If it was multiple people, a message was clearly being sent. But you need to find out, did this person actually commit suicide, or were they just hung and they actually died in a different way? In which case, a message is being sent. These are very simple things that you can do in your life. so that you don't run around with confusing information in your head. And if you have those tools, it's easy to make very quick decisions and good decisions. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Can you talk a bit about the 13 families that fund the committee of 300? No, the committee of 300 isn't funded at all. The 13 families, literally, they are all members of the committee of 300 as well. Okay, so those families, they control the agenda of the committee of 300. So the people that come into the committee, like my father in 1984, my goodness, this chair, Lauren put it in layback mode. So I just had to undo that before I fall on my back. Those families give direction, and the direction comes straight from, I call it the Twilight Zone. It comes straight from the highest intelligence of the underworld. So call it Lucifer, son of the morning, God of the earth, whatever you want. So that's where they get the direction from. And their main aim is to create a utopia on earth. In other words, this perfect society where no one does anything wrong. And it takes all freedom away from humans. It's that simple. This is not a rocket science thing. It's a very simple thing. All freedom will be removed from all humans, and all pain and suffering will be removed from us. That is the aim. I'm not saying that they will succeed, but this is what they are trying to do. So, like my father said to me next to the sea at Melkbosstrand, Oskip to be specific, every person there that he met, that he spoke to, said one thing: they want to end human suffering. They want us to live better lives. They want us to not have poverty. All of these things sound amazing, but at what cost? The cost is literally giving up all your freedom and living in a society where technology governs your life. Not you use technology to make your life easier. And there's a big difference. And when I get to Wolfgang Ulmer and I get to Archon, we will talk about that. We will talk about the book, and I will touch on what my father, with what I've read up until now, what he's telling us about how he sees the future, because I think this is very significant. Okay. Okay, let's just see if there was anything else. No. Paul, this has got nothing to do with Omega training. Nothing. That is separate. Okay. Jacinda Ardern resigning. Who's the next? Is the next person going to be worse than her? Goodness, I wonder. So we actually have families in South Africa that are represented in the 13 families. And they aren't highlighted. You don't hear about them in the news that often. Do you know who they are? Any idea? So the Oppenheimer family is represented there, yes. But there's one more family that's very dominant, not just in South Africa, but around the world. Sassoon, there we go. Thanks, Phil. So the Sassoon family, the Sasfin group, and many other companies in South Africa. The Sassoons are a part of the 13 families that literally have left a dynasty. You can call it the Rothschilds of the East. The Rothschilds still chair that committee. So there's your simple answer. A lot of people think that the Queen is in charge of it, or the Queen was, and therefore Charles will be in charge. They've got it wrong. In those pyramids, Charles is just the figurehead, and it's figurative, of the committee of 300. I don't think they have any respect for him whatsoever. But they're supposed to be this global king, queen, whatever you want to call it, that will be replaced later by a one world leader, a literal one world leader that will rise up and will control all technology, all AI. And let's just leave it there. Okay. Okay, let's get into the committee of 300 and these sub organizations. Later, we're going to look at a few other things. I'm going to talk about this again. are we talking about this? The Council on Foreign Relations and Trilateral Commission. And what this page will show you is how interwoven the massive organizations are that literally are subsidiaries of the Committee of 300. So if you cannot understand that the Committee of 300 is the one world government, then you're completely messed up. You can't see anything from the right perspective, like nothing. So if you go to any YouTube channel or any person giving you information and they don't understand that the Committee of 300 is running the world and that they get their impetus, their drive from a council of 13 families, they know nothing. Their perspective is completely messed up, misunderstood, and you're actually wasting your time with that information. Yes, you might find something that leads to the next bit of information or the next bit of information, but they can never give you the truth. It's not possible. And Saturday we'll talk about truth, what it means to know truth, and does truth exist? I mean, it's going to be a fascinating exercise. I was very surprised with how many people actually registered. We got a flood of registrations today because today is the closing registration for the live Zoom meeting on Saturday. It's always on Thursday, so all the admin can be done tomorrow for you to get the Zoom links. And then we start at 10, we finish at 1. We do the bulk of the information in the first hour to hour and a half. And in the last hour is questions and answers. We go into detail, but it is a workshop. So you are going to get things to work through. We're going to do exercises. It's a lot of fun. So Brad says he's attending. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the invention. This is the rotary motor, people. The basic concept of the rotary motor. You're seeing it right there. It's not rocket science. It's a very simple concept. And that's not what the actual motor looks like. He would never show people exactly how it is. And the reason why I did that, why I always left a fatal flaw in all these designs, is so people don't steal your design. It's that simple. Okay, so let's get stuck in. So the next groups, like I said, if you go watch the last video, you'll see the writing about the Committee of 300, and it's very important for those of you that are interested. And then the first 3 pages of the book that this lady references, she was an agent that did one simple thing. She tried to get people, recruit them, pull them out of the Committee of 300, show them what these people are up to, and reorganize them to actually fight these people. So they are global. There's a global footprint of people that are fighting what the Committee of 300 is doing. My dad headed that organization. He created it because he had the funds to do it. And we'll talk about that in a while. But let's carry on. So this is on page 58 of Dr. John Coleman's book, The Conspirators' Hierarchy. Now, I might not agree with all of his understanding of the Committee of 300. He never served on the committee like my father did. The information my dad gave me was sufficient to use the info that's available, what I know, what I experienced, to understand their plan perfectly. I know their plan from beginning to end. I know the source of their plan, who's still heading that plan, how their plan is being implemented. And that is why I can tell you what's going to happen next, what they are going to do next, how it's going to play out. I can look at all the signatures. And it's very simple. If you look through all the layers, the many layers, from the council to the committee, all the way down to where we are on the ground consuming information, lots of it, including the way that you are now. So welcome to the members of the public that's watching this video. Only the members can comment, so it's still a live chat for members because only they can comment in the chat. So Harvard Psychological Clinic is one of the organizations that he mentions, is a sub-organization that the Committee of 300 uses to implement all of their ideology. And the Committee of 300 ideology comes straight from the Bavarian Illuminati. And this is not something that John Coleman understood very well. A lot of people don't understand that link. at all. And this is where I believe this channel's made a difference. I brought that link into everything else that people are reading about, trying to understand the Jesuit order, the Club of Rome, all these organizations. And a lot of people will claim that any of those orders are running the world when they are not. They are mere footstools of the Committee of 300, and the Committee of 300 members are footstools to the Council of 13 Families. That council is headed by Lucifer, Satan, God of the earth, if you're not religious, whatever you want, but a super intelligent entity that has attained godhood. And that's important to understand. He is a God. In other words, he has intelligence beyond this world, but he is trapped here. He cannot leave here. He is literally stuck in a dimension that he flippin' hates. He hates the fact that we are here on his earth and that he cannot directly influence us, but indirectly he has full access to our consciousness. And this is what is fascinating. As long as we are in a physical form here, and we are in the we are here in a terrestrial realm, he can influence us, and he and his minions, and there's many of them, and they are just one dimension away. Okay, it's that simple. They don't have to travel across the universe or anything like that. So Harvard Psychological Clinic officials is Dr. Kurt Lewin and staff of 15 new science scientists. The purpose to create a climate where the Committee of 300 can take unlimited power over the United States. And you'll find it interesting how scientists would be used to do this. And once you understand all of these things, everything will just fall into place. What happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, what is happening subsequently to it, what happened before it, the entire climate change scenario, how all of this will be driven by scientists, and our scientific consensus becomes the God of the earth, literally. Listen to the words I use. Institute for Social Research officials, Dr. Kurt Lewin and staff of 20 new scientists. Purpose to devise a whole new set of social programs to steer America away from industry. This is the fourth industrial revolution. And you must understand, these writings are from many years ago, from the 90s. These documents are from the 90s. And, you know, if you actually look at Dr. John Coleman and the speech he did on the Committee of 300 and many other organizations, I've put it on the channel that I created called Human Experiment. You can go and watch it there. I put many things there that you'll find interesting. But what he is writing now helps you to understand the world we live in now. It helps you to make sense of it. How the concept of scientific consensus will be bulldozed into your mind, especially using the media, and how it will be unquestionable. In other words, science will be the highest level of understanding or enlightenment, and how the Bavarian Illuminati plan used science to become our God. That simple. Okay, so the next one is Science Policy Research Unit. Officials Leland Bradford, Kenneth Dam, Ronald Lippert. Purpose, a future shocks research institution at Sussex University in England and part of the Tavistock Network. Who of you know about the Tavistock Network at all? Hi, Chris. The Tavistock Institute, the Tavistock Network that they've created, who of you know about it? Maybe we can dedicate one of our live streams to that. Okay. Yes, follow the Science Z. It's been pre-programmed a long time ago. Okay. Mandy, don't get distracted by the Vatican. They're a very small fry in the whole scheme of things. Okay. There we go. Control what you are taught. It's one of the institutions that are used for that. Okay. Okay, awesome. Let me carry on. System Development Corporation. So here is the page You can take a screenshot of it so that you can go and read it later if you want. Officials, Sheldon Ehrenberg, and a staff of hundreds, too numerous to mention here. Purpose, and this is quite long. This is the Systems Development Corporation, okay? To coordinate all elements of the intelligence communities of the USA and Britain. This is important to understand. I often speak of Anglo-American. Anglo-America means Britain and the United States. Britain was the first country used by the Bavarian Illuminati to take their ideology throughout the world. This is why Britain went on a conquering spree. It is to bring this illumination, enlightenment to the rest of the world, and religion and many other things were used to do that. The British could never conquer America, so they needed to use a subverted method to get control of the United States government, which is fully controlled by the Committee of 300 at this stage. You just have to look at the Bohemian Grove, which is another sub-organization where many members from all of these organizations come together and they perform the burning of care under a large owl, which is a symbol for the Bavarian Illuminati. Okay. It analyzes what players have to be assigned the role of a national entity. For example, Spain would come under a supine, watered-down Catholic Church, the UN under the Secretary General, and so forth. It developed the system of X-Ray 2, where think tank personnel, military installations, and law enforcement centers are all linked to the Pentagon through a nationwide network of teletypes and computers to apply surveillance techniques on a nationwide scale. Ehrenberg says his ideas are non-military, but his techniques are mainly those he learned from the military. He was responsible for the New York State Identification and Intelligence System, a typical George Orwell 1984 project, which is completely illegal under our Constitution. What he means is the US Constitution. Then, the nicest system is in the process of being adopted nationwide. It is what Brzezinski referred to as the ability to almost instantaneously retrieve data about any person. So I've told people that because of the social media that you use and all the things that are given to you for free, it's never free. You are giving your personal information. There's always a cost, and the cost is your freedom. So a profile has been built on you. It is stored and updated daily in real time. So you are giving that information. NICE shares data with all law enforcement and government agencies in the state. It provides storage and rapid retrieval of individual records, criminal and social. It is a typical committee of 300 project. There is a crying need for a full investigation to be conducted into just what it is that System Development Corporation is doing, but that is beyond the scope of this book. One thing is sure, SDC is not there to preserve freedom and liberty guaranteed by the US Constitution. How convenient that it should be located in Santa Barbara in easy reach of Robert Hutchins, Parthenon. Some publications put out by these Club of Rome institutions are as follows: The Center Magazine, Counter Spy, Coventry, Covert Action Information Bulletin, Dissent, Human Relations, Industrial Research Inquiry, Mother Jones, One, Progressive, Raconteur, The New Republic, Working Papers for a New Society. These are all subversive editions. All they do is misinform people. So the people that read these publications think that they are getting this highly enlightened information. It's the same as Q and Anon. It's no different. Okay. Then Working Papers for a New Society. These are by no means all of the Republicans issued under issued under the auspices of the Club of Rome. There are many hundreds more. In fact, each of the foundations puts out its own publication. Given the number of foundations run by the Tavistock Institute and the Club of Rome, a partial listing is all we can include here. Some of the more important foundations and think tanks are in the following list, which includes Army think tanks. The American public would be astounded if it only knew how deeply the Army is involved in new war tactics research with committee of 300 think tanks. So here's the next page. Just see, so you can screenshot that. Americans are not aware that in 1946 the Club of Rome was ordered by the Committee of 300 to further the progress of think tanks, which it said offered a new means of spreading the committee's philosophy. The impact of these think tanks upon our military just since 1959, this is post, obviously, the Second World War and the founding of the United Nations, when they suddenly proliferated, is truly astounding. There is no doubt that they will play an even greater role in the daily affairs of this nation as we come to the close of the 20th century. So this was before the year 2000. The next institute is the Mont Pelerin Society. Who of you have heard of the Mont Pelerin Society? Mont Pelerin is an economic foundation devoted to issuing misleading economic theories and influencing economists in the Western world to follow models it lays out from time to time. Its leading practitioners are von Hayek and Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman is a member of the Committee of 300. Yes. Okay, Phil has done a lot of research already. Minerva the Owl. Yeah. Okay. The Hoover Institution. So I showed you the page. You should be able to screenshot it if you watch this video again. Remember, a recording will be available. The recording afterwards, I'm going to make just for members. So try and screenshot it as soon as you can. Okay. The Hoover Institution. Founded originally to fight communism, the institution has slowly but surely turned towards socialism. You will see in South Africa that the DA, the Democratic Alliance, most of the members, the MPs, call themselves socialist Democrats. You need to understand what that means. And I was very disturbed when I was involved in the DA to find out that these freaking people are socialists. Yeah, and the people that support them must find that out the hard way. It has an annual budget of $2 million funded by companies under the umbrella of the Committee of 300. It's actually quite interesting that some people accused me of being paid opposition. I welcome anyone to come and visit me and tell me how paid my opposition is, really. And it's not something I wish for. So, yeah. It has an annual budget of $2 million funded by companies under the umbrella of the Committee of 300 and now concentrates on peaceful changes with emphasis on arms control and domestic US problems. It is frequently used by the news media as a conservative organization whose views they seek when a conservative viewpoint is needed. The Hoover Institution is far from that, and following the 1953 takeover of the institution by a group allied to the Club of Rome, it has become a one world, new world order outlet for desirable policies. So when people come up with policies, and this is why the organic humanity movement is so important, the OM has zero policies because all it does is fight to change the system, and then you can elect your leaders directly and they can fight it out for policies and things that they believe in, and then you can decide who you want to vote for. This is very important to understand. When these organizations are fighting for specific policies, that is fine, but that is actually a politician's job. A politician that does a proper job will actually have policies. And then you get, if you get organizations, for instance, like Action SA, where Herman Mashaba, the leader, asks people, what policies do you want? What do you want to put out there? What do you want to create in government? That is so freaking messed up. How can a guy not tell you directly? And I don't care if you think Herman Mashaba is a superhero, that this is what I believe. These policies is what we should drive, and this is what you should support. Then people can make up their minds. If you have no policies and you have no plan to change the system, what the heck are you doing there? What are you doing there? Why are you even a flippant party? There's no purpose for that. So it makes no sense. The next is the Heritage Foundation, founded by brewery magnate Joseph Coors to act as a conservative think tank. Heritage was soon taken over by Fabianists Sir Peter Vickers Hall, Stuart Butler, Stephen Eisler, Robert Moss, and Friedrich von Hayek. under the direction of the Club of Rome. This institute played a major role in carrying out British Labour leader Anthony Wedgwood Benn's order to Thatcherize Ronald Reagan. Heritage is certainly not a conservative operation, although at times it may look and sound like one. It's no different to Fox News. So Rupert Murdoch is a member of the Committee of 300. The entire Fox News outlet is a propaganda machine. That's all it is. And a lot of people might like it because it might seem conservative. Once you look at the world from a Committee of 300 perspective, everything changes instantly. And yes, there might be people on Fox News that you might like because they might really believe what they speak of, but they have strict guidelines in how to do things. And at the moment, the left and the right in America are doing an excellent job of splitting people down left and right. The only split I will allow, division that must happen, is between greater good ideology and individual liberty. You cannot marry those two. And a lot of people have said, Desmond, you're driving division between people. No, I'm not. If someone wants to take my freedom away, he's my enemy. Klaar. That is a decision you must make. And you will see the opening video of 00 Des. If you go watch it, it tells there what side of history will you be on. There's a side to be picked, people. You need to pick a side. Do you believe in the Bavarian Illuminati's greater good ideology? For the greater good of safety, we will remove all our freedoms. We will put cameras everywhere. We will put microphones everywhere. We'll be monitored, tracked, and traced morning, noon, and night. For the greater good. Or we'll choose individual liberty. Yes, we'll make mistakes. We'll bump our heads. We might end up in jail. We might face repercussions. But at least we can make decisions. A robot or freaking AI won't make decisions for us. Okay. To me, that is important. And anyone that thinks that this is crazy, you just need to look at the world around us to see these things playing out now. I had this knowledge for many, many years. And I never saw the impetus of it being implemented as strongly as when COVID-19 happened. Because my father told me about it in 2004 in detail. When it played out, I had to realize that all the other things he told me could be true. They could be happening in real time. And then I had to look at all the experiences I had myself with Margaret Thatcher, with the Ruperts, with the Oppenheimers, listening to what they said. I remembered everything they discussed in that parliamentary dinner. It was flabbergasting. There's people that actually told me I couldn't have been there. I find this fascinating because there were hundreds of witnesses that I was there, that I stood at that table the whole freaking night. It was boring. But those experiences made me put the reason why this channel exists. And I want to, again, welcome the people from the public joining us here. The reason why you can't comment is because this is a members live chat. It's the first time I've allowed the public to view this portion because it is super important. Okay. Human Resources Research Office. So this is the next lot that is controlled by the Committee of 300. This is an army research establishment dealing in psychotechnology. Psychotechnology. These are things that are real, not freaking chips in the vaccine that gets injected into you. That is twak. That is then controlled by 5G or satellites. The people that come up with this rubbish are placed there to confuse you, to put fear into you. And it's the fact that you have a lack of scientific knowledge that makes it difficult for you to disseminate the information. And as I said again, on Saturday, we will help you to solve that problem because people need to allow a lot less information into their lives. You can triage that information to begin with, and then you can have tools to decide what does that information mean in your life. So we will cover that on Saturday. Like I said, that course starts at 10 o'clock. Tonight, 12 o'clock is closing time. So if you send something tomorrow, you will only be watching the recording. So the recording for all these courses are available. If you can just mail STF workshops at gmail.com. to make a booking to actually watch the recording. But if you want to be a part of the live Zoom, it looks like we're going to have a large group on Saturday. So Psychotechnology, most of its personnel are Tavistock trained. Psychotechnology covers GI motivation, morale, and music used by the enemy. In fact, a lot of what George Orwell wrote about in his book 1984 appears to be remarkably similar to what is taught at Hamro. In 1969, the Committee of 300 took over this important institution and turned it into a private non-profit organization run under the auspices of the Club of Rome. It is the largest behavioral research group in the US. Remember, this is the Human Resources Research Office. One of its specialities is a study of small groups under stress, and Hamro teaches the army that a soldier is merely an extension of his equipment and has brought great influence to bear on the man-weapon system and its human quality control, so widely accepted by the United States Army. Hamro has had a very pronounced effect on how the Army conducts itself. Its mind-bending techniques are straight out of Tavistock. Hamro's applied psychology courses are supposed to teach Army brass how to make the human weapon work. A good example of this is the manner in which soldiers in the war against Iraq were willing to disobey their field manual, standing orders, and bury 12,000 Iraqi soldiers alive. This type of brainwashing is terribly dangerous because today it is applied to the army. The army applies it to brutally destroy thousands of enemy soldiers, and tomorrow the army could be told that civilian population groups opposed to government policies are the enemy. I've told people many times, be very careful what you wish for. If you want cameras all over your neighborhood, you are an idiot. Put cameras all over your yard. Put cameras all over your business. There's nothing wrong with a camera. I'm using one right now. Use it. Use technology to serve you. Let technology serve you, not your government, unless you become the government. Okay, let's continue. We are already a mindless, brainwashed flock of sheep, yet it seems that Hamro can take mind-bending and mind control a step further. Hamro is a valuable adjunct to Tavistock, and many of the lessons taught at Hamro were applied in the Gulf War, which makes it a little easier to understand how it came to be that American soldiers behaved as ruthless and heartless killers, a far cry from the concept of the traditional American fighting man. So here's the next page for a screenshot. There you go. Research Analysis Corporation. Okay, we're 53 minutes in. We've got just over 35 minutes to go. So the next one is the Research Analysis Corporation, and then it ends, okay? This is Hamro's sister 1984 organization situated in McLean, Virginia, established in 1948, just post the Second World War. It was taken over by the Committee of 300 in 1961 when it became part of the Johns Hopkins block. Does that sound familiar, people? It has worked on over 600 projects, including integrating Negroes into the army. Now, this is a word that he chose to use because that is the kind of wording that these organizations use. They actually look down on anything that is not Aryan. These people are despicable. The tactical use of nuclear weapons, psychological warfare programs, and mass population control is all part of what they do. So this is the Research Analysis Corporation. Obviously, there are many more major think tanks, and we shall come to most of them in this book. One of the most important areas of cooperation between what think tanks turn out and what becomes government and public policy are the pollsters. Now, one of the Committee of 300 members is someone that was the founder of polling, especially political polling. We've already discussed this person in detail. If you go back into history, if you remember, you can go and watch that. Okay? Where are we? It is a job of the polling companies to mold and shape public opinion in the way that suits the conspirators. Polls are constantly being taken by CBS, NBC, ABC, the New York Times, the Washington Post. Most of these efforts are coordinated at the National Opinion Research Center, where, as much as it will amaze most of us, a psychological profile was developed for the entire nation. Findings are fed into the computers of Gallup, Poll, and Yankelovich, Skelly, and White for comparative evaluation. Much of what we read in our newspapers or see on television has first been cleared with the polling companies. What we see is what the pollsters think we should see, and he puts this in capitals. This is called public opinion making. Now, you should understand what this is. During the COVID-19 pandemic, this became mainstream. Public opinion making. Okay. In South Africa, we're very familiar with this. The apartheid government was brilliant at that very exact thing. The whole idea behind this bit of social conditioning is to find out how responsive the public is to policy directives handed down by the Committee of 300. And I spoke to you, the public, the members, about the things that we pushed on us to test us, to see how we deal with it. And throughout COVID-19, polling was done. It's one of the big things that came out in our media. A poll was done on this. A poll was done on that. The DA does polls all the freaking time. It was so annoying. It's treating humans like cattle, literally. We are called targeted population groups, and what is measured by the pollster is how much resistance is generated to what appears in the nightly news. Later we shall learn exactly how this deceptive practice got started and who is responsible for it. It is all part of the elaborate opinion-making process created at Tavistock. Today our people believe they are well informed, but what they do not realize is that the opinions they believe are their own, were in fact created. The opinions they believe are their own were in fact created in the research institutions and think tanks of America, and that none of us are free to form our own opinions because of the information we are provided with by the media and the pollsters. So if you don't know how to find information yourself, your ideas and thoughts are created. And even members on this channel that have been here for 2 years or close on 2 years as members still fall for this all the time. And, I can't be fooled by things like that anymore because I apply very specific principles and tools to circumnavigate that. And mostly I just get information. It doesn't become true information or valued information or anything like that. It has to follow an entire process before I attach truth to information. And hopefully you can learn to do exactly the same thing. Polling was brought to a fine art just before the United States entered the Second World War. Americans, unbeknown to themselves, were conditioned to look upon Germany and Japan as dangerous enemies who had to be stopped. One thing that is important, if you actually look at the Manhattan Project, where nuclear weapons were developed, yes, they needed uranium from South Africa. From our coal mines, we were sitting with huge dumps of what was leftovers from the gold mining industry sitting on top of the ground, and uranium was a part of that process. In other words, if you remove the gold, the uranium was still there. It was already mined. So all that had to happen, you filled ships with dirt, shipped it off via the railways onto ships, and you ship it off to the US. And no one understood why dirt was shipped across South Africa to the US at the time. We saw shipped it everywhere where people wanted this dirt. It was uranium they were after. And as I've told people in my 00 days meetings across the country, that everything in South Africa is about nuclear. If you don't understand that everything in this country is about nuclear, you understand nothing. Nothing. You have to start at that point and then work your way back. That need that other countries have, not only for uranium, but the metals, the special metals that make nuclear weapons work. Any nuclear weapon needs an explosion to set off the nuclear explosion. During that explosion, there needs to be working parts that don't fuse, melt, etc. Think about that. Okay, let's continue. In a sense, this was true, And that makes conditioned thinking all the more dangerous because based on the information fed to them, the enemy did indeed appear to be Germany and Japan. Just recently, we saw how well Tavistock conditioning process works when Americans were conditioned to perceive Iraq as a threat and Saddam Hussein as a personal enemy of the United States, when I can tell you that the CIA put Saddam Hussein in power. The CIA. And then they go and search for weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. And as I've told the members before, they were looking for the gold that Saddam Hussein got from America. That was gold from other countries. It wasn't America's to give. But Iraq, Saddam Hussein wanted to be paid for his oil in gold. Because he asked them, what is your American dollar backed by? What does it represent? They said gold. He said, pay me the gold. I want the gold. I don't want your dollars. And this is why they needed to go into Iraq to find these weapons of mass destruction, dig into all sorts of tunnels and whatnot. Such a conditioning process is technically described as the message reaching the sense organs of the persons to be influenced. One of the most respected of all pollsters is Committee of 300 member Daniel Yankelevich of the company Yankelevich, Skelly and White. Yankelevich is proud to tell his students that polling is a tool to change public opinion, although this is not original. Yankelevich, having drawn his inspiration from David Naisbitt's book Trend Report, which was commissioned by the Club of Rome. In his book, Naisbitt describes all of the techniques used by public opinion makers to bring about the public opinion desired by the Committee of 300. Public opinion making is the jewel in the crown of the Olympians, for with their thousands of new science social scientists at their beck and call, and with the news media firmly in their hands, new public opinion on almost any subject can be created and disseminated around the world in 2 weeks. So they believed that it would take just 2 weeks to create public opinion on almost anything. And it was fascinating that when my father spoke to me about his time in the Committee of 300, they meet for a week in Switzerland, Geneva, Switzerland. That's where he attended the Committee of 300 meeting in 1984. He went there as an inventor, very excited to try and help save the planet. With this motor that he invented, this twin rotary motor, that is literally 87% efficient. So that's what made the big difference, because it could run on water. It could literally run on water because of the efficiency of the motor. You could drive a reactor unit that could split the hydrogen and oxygen, inject it into the engine and run it. So he won the prize for the best invention for the betterment of mankind at Palexpo in Switzerland in 1999. And I've shown you the prizes that he won, including this trophy, which was handed to him at the time for that invention. So it was significant. It wasn't a small thing. To him, it was probably his greatest achievement, but his greatest failure was never rolling that technology out to the rest of the world. You know, he was literally removed before then. Okay, there's many people that are being gifted memberships. I don't know who's doing the gifting, but if you accept that gift, then you will have membership to be here. Just remember, you need to be a channel member to be here. There's 2 levels below channel membership, which is the exiting the rabbit hole, having access to those 3 presentations, and then just being a channel supporter, which is someone that's just grateful for the channel and trying to support the channel. So I really want to thank the people that do that. Our channel supporters, we have over 50 channel supporters now, and I really want to thank you for making that contribution. Okay, so let's get stuck in. So that was that specific envelope. Next week, we'll cover another envelope. But the next thing I want to show you now, right, let me just see. Okay, there's 3 pages I didn't put in here. I need to keep these documents together. I'm rapidly working through a massive pile of documents. There's hundreds and even thousands of documents I still need to sort out. Is this document here? This is called the Memorial Edition. I don't know if you can make a screenshot of that. There, it's focused nicely now. So this is the Council on Foreign Relations Trilateral Connection. Yeah, right at the top it has David Rockefeller, former chairman of the Council of Foreign Relations. It says where he's from, North American chairman of the Trilateral Commission. So these two organizations are very important in controlling various things. You're going to see names on this list for people on the Council on Foreign Relations and people that are on the Trilateral Commission. It's got a list on the left of media, okay? And then it's got energy companies. And remember, this is from the 90s, early 90s, okay? It's got George Bush right at the top as a former member, National Security Council. It speaks about all the members they involved. Brent Scowcroft, Dan Quayle, James Baker, Richard B. Cheney, Colin Powell, William H. Webster. Colin Powell is a member of the Committee of 300, by the way, just so that you know. So it's got nothing to do with whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You would see that Donald Trump sent his Secretary of State to the Bilderberg meeting. And then you should ask yourself, if Donald Trump is such a superhero that's trying to save the planet, why would he send his Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, to the Bilderberg meeting? Him and his wife. Yeah. Then you have the U.S. military, all the people involved there, and how they are involved in these organizations. Department of State, House and Senate members, college, university presidents that are all involved in these organizations. So make a screenshot and then you can go and look at the detail. Okay, we're running out of time. There's so much to deal with. This is something that was extremely out of character for my dad. This file that you see here was in the middle of his traveling case that he always had on the ready with clothing packed inside. And he had interesting things in a hidden compartment in that bag. But inside this file was something hidden. And this file was from his travels overseas. And you'll see it's got interesting things inside it. Receipts from hotels and various other interesting things. If I open it up, this was folded into there. And I'm not going to go into the detail of this now. But these were obviously important to him. Here's a piece of paper that he wrote something on. Don't know if you can see that. I don't know if the camera is going to... There, it's focusing on it now. It's an amount. It's $765,210,102 US dollars. Okay, remember that amount for now. And then he has some business cards. Here's Hotel de France. I don't know how to pronounce a whole lot of the stuff. It's one of his bills inside this file. And we're going to get to Wolfgang Ulmer just now. And then he had share prices of many things. Oh. There you can see. There's more. So he had a huge interest in what was happening in the markets. And then he had written pieces on people with economic interests. And then all of these things in here. And right at the back, there was a piece of paper. This piece of paper that was folded up. That had fascinating info. I've shared this with members before. Here's some various contacts with various people. Swiss banks and other financial institutions. And then this. And in this piece of writing, this is my dad's handwriting, and he obviously wrote this at different times because some of it was written in cursive, some of it not. But it speaks here of an investment that was made many years ago in 1963. It says here, date of initial investment, 18th of the 12th, 1963. That's also my wife and I's marriage date. We got married on the 18th of the 12th. And it says interest rate and raising capital brings earnings to 32.7% per annum on contra investment prime real estate Swiss, 1966. Okay. But here in the top part, it says transfer capital into a number account and have all dividends directed to account as well as royalties. My dad was getting royalties from inventions that I don't want to talk about right now. Get all particulars to benefits and exchange, also transfers to other countries. And the amount was 17,245,586 Swiss francs. Bernardo Liquid Assets, Utrecht Broekenschaft und Finance Result. And then it says in 1983, just the dividends on that was 9.8 million 500 and just say 9.8 million, and that was in 1983. And he said you're 942,000 more than expected. Mr. Wolfgang Ulmer, there's his name. So Mr. Wolfgang Ulmer was the person, that gave him that number. So there were people managing this estate of my dad, these assets. I'm not going to speak about where this funding came from or what this financing is for, but he often made clear that that funding will be used one day to rebuild this country. It's literally enough money because that investment was made in 1963. So you can go and do the math on 17 million Swiss francs at the time. It was equal to the US dollar. Okay. And then there's various other writing which you can see if you did a screenshot. So this is where Wolfgang Ulmer comes into it. And the moment I saw that in the book, and that's where I was sure what his name was, because the way it's written here, I wasn't sure if it was Wilmer or Ulmer or what it was. And now I got clarity by reading the book. He said that the book will make everything clear to me. And so that was fascinating. So my father told me when I was a young boy that he's the richest man in the world. And I mean, I took that as the fact that he has children, that he's married, that he's happy, that makes him the richest man. Besides the fact that he might have meant it literally, go and do the math on an investment that size from that time. That would be substantial now. There's many other things he told me. I never took it seriously. I still don't take it seriously, but the fact that Wolfgang Ulmer is mentioned here is fascinating. I don't rely on any funds or anything like that. We need to do things ourselves in this country. But he believed that those funds need to be used to build up this country when there's nothing left, literally. Because he believed that the country would deliberately be destroyed, that financially, completely. Now, I can't say whether he's going to be right or wrong about that. If it's someone else's plan, it doesn't always mean that it's going to work out that way. I mean, his life didn't work out the way that he thought it would to begin with. So that's where Wolfgang Ulmer comes into the picture. And Archon was literally what you can call, what people would call an alien that looks like us, speaks like us, can communicate with us, understand us fully. And the fact that he has Archon in the book in that character, in other words, someone that gave us knowledge. At the end of the book, they were standing on the anchored on a ship close to, not far from land, and they could see people in a spaceship up there, literally. And the book starts where someone arrives in a private jet on the west coast of South Africa, and they go underground and they enter this massive spaceship that would be launched later. And it's clear that there's already one in orbit. In other words, this would be the second one to be launched. I'm not going to go into all the details now. I've discussed many of this in detail with the members in the past. Those of you that have forgotten, go back and look. It's all there. So, yes. Very, very interesting. So, when this book is finished, he says it'll give clues as to how he saw Armageddon playing out in real time. In other words, what it means. Obviously, his perspective. So, yeah, I suppose I need to get this done. Yeah, it's not easy doing this work. Yeah, Elizabeth Klarer. Yes, that Archon. That Archon, which is an eternal being. In other words, he had to transcend our dimension to actually be here, because he can't die. Okay, so people, we have like 14 minutes left. Do you have any questions? I've given you a lot that you can go and look at. If you do the screenshots, you can go through those documents. Who of you have read this on Sidney Frankel and that history? That is something else that you can go and research. This is an article that was written by Kevin Bloom. And then there's another interesting article which was unique. This person was very brave. Who remembers this article? I did that video. It's my second biggest, most viewed video. Rupert gives Ramaphosa an ultimatum. That was quite a big thing, because I believe Ramaphosa leaked that info out of desperation. Now, the interesting thing is the Ruperts aren't serving on the Committee of 300. They're not that important. They have massive influence in the country. Who of you have heard about the connection with the undersea cable that landed in Saldanha that's connected to that MTN center that's in Duinefontein? I've done a video outside that place before. When you start adding together all the bits of information I give you, a big picture will come into being, and it should start making, very good sense. Sidney Frankel, go and research Sidney Frankel. Okay. So welcome to all the new members. I believe some memberships were gifted, quite a few. Goodness. It was like 10. Thanks to whoever did that. Oh, Mandy. Thanks, Mandy. The reason why I can't do all of these members' live streams to the broad public is because of the sensitivity of the information. And, there might be absolute enemies of what we're doing, watching right now. These people will stop at nothing to stop our fight for freedom. Actually fighting this greater good ideology. The only person that can decide what is the greater good for us is the God that created this universe. That is the highest intelligence in the universe. That cannot be subverted by the God of the earth, which is a fallen idiot that we have power over. And if you don't learn and enlighten yourself, and no, enlightening is not an evil word. That idiot wants to make it evil. There's nothing wrong with a flippant sun. There's nothing wrong with enlightenment. The Illuminati is a group of elitist people that believe that they were the only illuminated ones. They will always hide a portion of the sun. Listen to what I'm saying. Go and look at the symbolism. They will always hide a portion of the sun because they will never give you the full illumination. And this is important to understand when you look at symbology. So when someone has a symbol, ask them what that symbol means, and then they can explain it to you. And then you will actually know. Then you will have the knowledge. Don't listen to some freaking idiot somewhere telling you something and just believe it. Don't believe what I say. Go and do the research yourself. I'm not asking to be anyone's leader. I will never stand for public office. All I have to offer you is information. Lots. I have documents that no one else has. In this entire freaking country, there's no one else that has this information. It's me, and me. Unfortunately, I'm stuck with it. Okay? And unfortunately, I have the information. My father was Edmund William Robert Bernardo. I can't freaking stop that. It was not my choice. I was born with him being my father. And he taught me a lot. We did not have a normal father-son relationship. But luckily, just before he died, he could see his grandsons, which was a huge blessing. And it was a miracle that happened. And I just want to tell that story again in closing, to show you that there is a higher power that looks at the greater good. The only power that can decide what the greater good is. And that's the God that created this universe, not some fake rubbish that has to live in the doldrums of this earth. Okay. I remember it was a Sunday morning. I woke up and I had this strong feeling that we as a family need to drive to Joburg. Now, we are living in Kuilsriver in Cape Town. Okay. We did not plan this. Think about it. I wake up. I tell Lauren, I feel strongly we need to drive to Joburg. It's a Sunday morning. We would normally do something that we do every single Sunday. And this time we decided, no, we will pack the car and drive to Joburg. So we pack the car, we pack in the 4 kids, and we start driving to Joburg. We have no idea why we are doing this. And we literally got to Bloemfontein. Now, this was much later. And so we left fairly early in the morning. We get to Bloemfontein, and Lauren turns to me and says, Desmond, do you have any idea why we are going to Joburg? I said, I have no clue, but I have this feeling that I need to call my dad. So I didn't want to speak to him. We were not on speaking terms. I hated many of the things that he stood for. He just spoke about the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all of these people. It drove me insane. I was his son. I wanted a father. And I will always make sure that I'm a father to my boys, that I will spend time fishing with them and doing many other things. My father was so obsessed with what he was doing that everything else took a backseat completely. But I felt that I needed to give him a call. I had a strong impression that I needed to call him. So I called him. And he said to me, when he answered the phone, I said, we're in Bloemfontein. We're on our way to Joburg. I just had a feeling I needed to call you. Now, at this stage, he had never seen his grandsons. The only 2 boys that will carry on his name, which was very important to him. And because I was married before, I had 3 girls, the name wouldn't be carried on through that. And it didn't bother me at all. But yeah, we are in the car on our way to Joburg. And he said to me, he went on his knees that morning and prayed that he would see his grandsons. And I always get emotional when I think of this, but that is why we had to go to Joburg, so that he could see his grandsons, because he died 2 months later at the age of 65, as fit as a fiddle. And I'm not going to go into the details of his death. But the fact that he could see them, that was his wish, that it was granted, was a miracle. It is absolutely incredible. And I have followed those inspirations without question in my life. Without questioning, I will just do it. If I feel that inspiration, I stop what I'm doing and I act on it. That's what I do. And it has brought me to where I am today. And, the first thing that I did when I started the Double O Days tour around the country, and for those of you that don't know, I toured the country. I had over 300 meetings. I stopped at 300 during the COVID pandemic. Met with over 10,000 people. We stopped counting then because we did look at how many people actually attended the meetings. Towards the end of the tour, 200 to 300 people at a meeting was common. The largest meeting had 600 people attend. We had large groups of people attend these meetings. And the last meeting, Double O Days meeting we had in Cape Town, had over 300 people attend that meeting. It was really awesome because it was my 50th birthday. It was really special at Monkey Valley. And the fact that people would come together like that, not for me, but to be together, knowing all of this or having this information is really special. And I could tell my story. I could open up about my life. What does that do? It hangs me out to dry. Okay. And this is what I believe has made me different, this channel different to anyone else out there that I know about. Other people don't go and hang themselves out to dry. I did that. I didn't vet the people coming to the meetings. Anyone could rock up at these meetings and listen. And anyone could take me on. I was completely open to everybody. I told my story in the Question Everything series. So, like with KW Miller, where people have to dig because he won't answer things, I did the opposite because I knew for people to trust me as much as possible, and I asked people not to trust me, to just look at the information, to at least give the information a chance. I had to literally purge everything about me as a person. And you can be ridiculed for it because you open yourself up to ridicule. But then you can stand up to scrutiny. Once you've done that, anyone that wants to say that you are funded by global organizations or whatever, they're going to have trouble because I stayed with people, our family stayed with people. There's people that come and see our circumstances. People can see that we are not billionaires or anything like that. People that make up fake stories that I have billions of rands worth of estates and things. It's just not true. People that say that I'm a Freemason or I'm a member of the Committee of 300. I can't help these people because anyone that knows me knows that it's not true. And there's so many thousands of people that got to see me in person. They might hate me. They might love me. They might be interested in what I have to say. But it is all out in the open. And there's nothing more than I can do than that. I can only offer you information. I cannot offer you leadership. I cannot offer you saving because I would be lying if I said that I could do those things. I can't do those things because I know enough to tell you that it's not possible. And what my wife has done, Lauren, is she's come up with a plan that cannot be subverted. Subverters can try and come in and do things. It can never break down that plan because the plan is not based on a leader that saves people. The plan is based on every individual becoming their own government, making governments and large corporations irrelevant. And through that, you can literally govern the country. You don't need a government. You don't need large corporations. You don't even need money. You just need a means of exchange. And that can be bartering, many other things. Now, to get back to technology. Technology is an awesome thing. Technology should work for us. We should not be slaves to technology. So, I mean, any device like this, there's no SIM card in this smartphone. I use it to make videos when I'm on the road. The videos that you see that I make when I'm driving in the car is made with this phone. The last couple of times I didn't have time to hotspot my other phone, so I actually did 2 of the videos with my little Samsung, the one that has my SIM card in. But my real phone with my own personal number is this. It's never on. No one knows what this number is unless you know it, and there's very few people that do. So people can't just contact me. And when I go into a mode where I have to use that device, we are in quite a situation. But yeah, it's not necessary at this stage. I want everyone, even intelligence, to know exactly what I'm doing. I don't want to hide anything from anybody. So anyone can come into these members' live streams. You pay the membership fee. YouTube takes 30%. The government gets their 15% tax because it's a service that YouTube provides. And I have to keep on delivering that service. And tonight I decided to make this open to the public to view. That's why we have over 400 people viewing it now. I want to welcome the people of the public that stayed through this hour and a half. We do this every Thursday evening. If you want to join us, do so. Thank you to the people that donated memberships to some of the people. When people tell me that they cannot afford this, then I tell them what is worth more, a coffee or getting this information. Because we can do things with these funds. We've improved our studio situation. We still need to move to a bigger place. This studio circumstances is not the best. It gets boiling hot inside here. At least we now have a professional camera. We have proper lighting that helps our eyes so that our eyes don't burn up. This little Logitech camera doesn't do a good job. But yeah. No, Paul, it's finished. So I'm done with that. I won't even mention his name. It's completely and utterly finished. And normally I broke so much protocol by speaking about him and attacking the situation specifically, but it was necessary. This live stream tonight is part of that tactic. So if this person is listening, I just want to tell you that we are many steps ahead of you and your croons, many steps ahead, and that you are actually so pathetic that you have to have these people backing what you are doing. What we are doing, we're doing on our own. We are on our own and we are achieving a lot. And it's incredible. The fact that we can do what we've done up until now, it cannot be stopped because they cannot stop each and every one of you. And the documents that I have shared with people across the country. None of them know who the other person is. The documents are out there. You cannot stop it. I'm not stupid. The 8 years I served in counterterrorism intelligence taught me a lot. And the first thing they said is, don't share any of this top secret information with anyone. It was my information. It wasn't theirs. They needed me to give them the info. So I shared that info with 3 other people and told them that and said, I gave them all this information. If anything happens to me, there you go. It's a fact that you keep quiet that gets you killed. So it's a simple tactic on my side. Okay. Yeah, South Africans will fix South Africa. Absolutely. No one else will be able to do that. And believe me, we are working on the ground to do things with regards to Eskom. We are having huge success where I'm involved. And it makes me feel really good at the end of the day to actually achieve things, to win time, to buy us more time. Every time I think I've just managed to buy us a week is something, it's not nothing. So we'll get there. There are things happening on the ground. I cannot speak about it publicly. Okay. But thanks so much for joining me. I really want to go and join my wife now and have a nice time with her. Thanks to the public that joined us. The members can tell me afterwards in the community tab how you enjoyed this format, specifically with what I did, inviting the public in to actually look at what we do in these members' live streams. And another thing that this does is it doesn't kill the algorithm on the channel, because that is a huge problem. So I want to see what this actually achieves in the end with regards to the algorithm. And I might decide that this is a format we use going forward. And I might decide to actually do some Zoom interactions with the channel members. I would have to up the amount of members that I can have in a Zoom. I probably have to go to 500 or more. But I'm thinking of all these things. They're all ideas right now. But thanks so much for joining me for the second edition of the Committee of 300. And next week, we are going to get stuck into a banger. I will give you information throughout the week. We are going to start touching on some of these organizations, and I want to touch on the financial side. So I want to give you more information on the Securities and Exchange Commission. I've given you links before, and I'm going to give you another link right now with regards to the Securities and Exchange Commission. I want you to go and look at the truth with regards to our situation at the Securities and Exchange Commission. There's your link. And get rid of the fake news that Fani Fonse and all these crazy people come up with. These people are literally nuts, okay? They have mental issues, many of these people. Because Steenhuisen and Malema are not part of the heads of our South African company. It's a lot of twat. Go and follow that link and actually go and look at what the real situation is. It's far worse. And this is important to understand. We are literal collateral for the money that the country prints. Our own freaking rands, we are collateral for it. And our government has to go and stand man for what we have in this country, our political system, our assets, our companies. Everything is up for sale, people. Good night, everyone. And remember that love is the power that created this universe. Love is also what will heal this country and make the difference in the end. Love is important. I've had people ridicule me for speaking about love, saying that we are pussies and we are a kumbaya group. We are all but that, my friend. And, you know, if you want to go and follow a bunch of Hirie people that are relying on some panga-wielding action that's going to happen in Joburg, so be it. Do that for the rest of your life because it's not happening. We will have isolated incidents in this country. We will even have entire cities destroyed, but not for the reason you think. These influences will come from outside the country. And as I said this morning on my Telegram channel and the day before, the Boere Afrikaners will be the traitors that will sell this country out to the highest bidder outside this country because they do not feel that they belong. And you need to understand what I mean by that. So I will leave you with that. Good night, everyone. And remember to show love to people around you. If you see someone with a name tag, call them by their name. Show them that they are important as a human being. This is something we need to learn again. And you are not more important than the next person. I'm not more important than the next person. Every person, one person sleeping under a flippant bridge because they have no place to sleep is as important as you. All of us are equally important as intelligences. All of us. Thank you very much. Good night.